Okay, I'm now being joined by Salihu Dantata, security analyst, who will unbundle a lot of the developing stories on security matters. Very warm welcome, Salihu.
Yeah,
nice having you again.
Thank you very much. I'm glad
Now,
to
I
join
think
you.
the biggest story here will be the release of the 130 pupils of St. Mary's Catholic School who were kidnapped exactly a month ago in Papiri, Niger State. Look at the coincidence or the coincidences a month after the final release of the over 230 people kidnapped. Released, not rescued. Something fishy here?
Well, sometimes you cannot particularly make allegations without substantiating it because the issues are, they also, used non-kinetic measures, even though they came to say there wasn't anything like giving ransom or maybe something to entice the kidnappers and host of others. This remains best known by God Almighty. But first of all, I think we need to also appreciate Mr. President, then appreciate the various security agencies for the gallantry, because that terrain is well known to me. Don't forget, Lakurawa have been tormenting the entire area from some part of Kwara, Niger, extending to Sokoto and Kebbi. So most of these abductions, there are even allegations and suspicion of Lakurawa being involved in it, because most of them are even aliens, they are foreigners that intruded into Nigerian space and host of others, not also forgetting the remnants.
And they now know the terrain better than our security
you see,
agents.
You see, once intelligence gathering is minimal, this is what you get. Once you have a lot of ungoverned areas, this is what you get. Once you have fire brigade approach, this is what you get. We've lamented over time that Niger, Kwara, Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, there are a lot, including Katsina, there are a lot of ungoverned spaces. And these non-state actors, sometimes they act in connivance with some inhabitants of these areas. For example, when the Mahmuda terrorists were having their free day in Kwara, after some arrests were made, there were many indigenous youths in some of these towns
who had been recruited into the group.
Who were informants. And there were even some local chiefs too, who, because of some monies they get from local wood logging, they call Agbegelodo in Yoruba, connived with even some of the non-state actors. But at the end of the day, what did you find? Investigations exonerated some of them, and some of them were released. So the issues in these areas are, you even find some of the security agents. Don't forget, a serving police officer in government house was found to be in connivance of selling arms and weapons to non-state actors, where even the deputy superintendent of police killed himself when he was implicated. So that is to the extent where it is. Itato, there were civil defense officers in the same Niger state. So the kidnapping in Kwara, the non-state actors' activities also has connivance of inhabitants of some of the areas. And most of them don't even display their ownership, involvement, commitment. Unlike Northeast, at the behest of Boko Haramism, you saw some able-bodied youths coming out to form civilian joint task force.
I was just coming to that and look at the gains, the success stories coming from the Northeast theater of operation, Hadin and the rest, decimating Iswa Boko Haram terrorists, now cutting off their supply routes and the rest, and taking the war to the terrorists.
You see, the stewardship of Major General Abubakar Abdul Salam, who is head of the Operation Ivan Kai, is gathering momentum. Don't forget, Itato, he was also in charge of Special Task Force in Jos, Plateau State. I think once a general is desirous, is committed, has devotedness, enterprising spirit, and is combining the combatant training he received at the Defense Academy as a regular combatant cadet and the gallantry. This is what comes to be. This is a man who takes lives of Nigerians seriously. Even while it was in Jos, a lot of people knew that wherever he leads, he succeeds. Unfortunately, you see in that Northeast, we've lost up to 2 brigadiers general, numerous colonels, lieutenant. That's why we lost our own Lieutenant Colonel Abu Ali from Kogi State.
Yeah.
So for someone like Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, who left leadership of one strong task force to help another, he knows what it takes, how and when. And that is why most of the troops at any time, their morale is high. And somebody like Major General Abubakar Abdusalam, he doesn't move a troop without gathering intelligence. We've interacted in disguise with some officers and men officers.
And the combined efforts of both
the joint task force is also helping, including those of the civilian joint task force. Don't forget, even the CJTF2 have gathered momentum by neutralizing certain areas. So the combined effort made up of the Army, Air Force, Police, CJTF and others is gathering momentum. But majorly, I think the credit goes to the leadership, because once you have a leader who is dogged, a leader who knows his onion and worth, this is what you get. Because sometimes the morals of the troops get high once the leadership is all encompassing. Once you extend comradeship, don't forget at the appointment of the new service chiefs and the CDS, Mr. President, who is the president and commander-in-chief, said service chiefs and the CDS, you must extend comradeship. What is the meaning of that? It shouldn't be a situation where you are thinking, because I'm commander, I'm superior, maybe the lance corporal, the private, the sergeant, the staff sergeant, the warrant officer 2, warrant officer 1, master warrant officer, the lieutenant, the second lieutenant, the captain, the major, the lieutenant colonel, and what have you, and nobody. So it's all inclusiveness, where their skills, their input matters, where you don't discriminate between the commissioned officers and non-commissioned officers. And Major General Abdusalam, right from when he was in Jos, he was a man we watched closely as people that also contribute to that aspect of security, to be a man that believes in a policy of live and let live and not might Israel, where sometimes he even interacts with his sergeants, his corporals, to say, okay, how do you feel? How are we going to do this? He gets certain ideas, and that is what makes a battle to be won. It is not a battle of 2-star general, 1-star general, or colonel, or what have you. It's a battle of collective responsibility, where even the NCOs, who some commanders see as nobody, as taken serious, because nobody has monopoly of knowledge. Some of these officers too that you train in depot, even though they don't have the opportunity of going through Defense Academy Commission cadre of regular combatant short service, or that, they also have their native intelligence,
very vigorous training and the rest.
Certain gifts.
Yeah, but let us look at what elder statesman Ayo Badokun said, which to loads of Nigerians, I mean, there is obvious truism in it, that bandits and insurgents are being sponsored by unpatriotic Nigerians. Apart from the collaboration, you talked about some, elements in the uniform forces. There are top-ranking Nigerians because of mining, and their names have been mentioned. Why is Mr. President not going after them?
Well, the names have not been made public. At a time, they said they were going to name them. The only names we saw were names of Bureau de Change operators and some skeletal people. We've not seen the top echelons in the politics. We've not seen those in the retired military top brass of either the army, police.
We saw the one released by the UAE authorities.
Well, you see, when you talk about UAE, it goes above our sovereignty.
We're looking at international financing here.
Well, international financing, there were even certain mercenaries that were found to have come from some countries. And these countries that were alleged to be sponsoring part of these non-state actors are also countries where some of our leaders found solace in. I don't want to mention because of litigation, but there is that clarity that a particular country that is in charge of francophone, this and that, some of the mercenaries are found to have come from there. And these are the countries where some of our leaders holding power today have their investments. So I think there are certain elements in the country that are above the law. And don't forget, Kau Baraje, leader of new PDP then, he once came out to say they imported some mercenaries in order to win 2015 election. That remains allegation. Nobody substantiated it. Then of recent,
can he be alleging against himself?
Well,
and these people?
For him to have come out to say that, it means there is an iota of truth in it.
That is factual.
Then of recent, during the book launch of late General Muhammadu Buhari's biography, his national security advisor came to lament how a late chief of staff suppressed even funding of the NSA office and host of other things. So you see, there were administrative brouhahas that also hindered the success against onslaught against these non-state actors right from the Buhari administration, and even under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, there are still some elements. There is a particular public office order from Northwest that even the non-state actors have come to say, we've held certain meetings till date. They are still holding sway, holding position. So, and if we are going to show example, no matter what contribution someone has made to campaign, you need to sacrifice certain people. Be it as it may, we also are happy with the bringing back of General C.J. Musa, because at the time he was relieved of his appointment as Chief of Defense Staff, a lot of people saw a particular statement he made that you don't need to wait for commands to be able to waste the non-state actors once they approach it. So a lot of people saw that as an affront, because the conspirators, of course, will not be happy, because you can't rule out the fact that there are no collaborators and conspirators in the military, in the political side. Then again, in the northwest, western state of Zamfara, illegal gold mines is also responsible, where a lot of them are involved. There are reported cases where choppers go into forests there and they lift certain things and take to sell. In Dubai market, there are even some names associated with that, but nobody has investigated. So that is why the list by United Arab Emirates cannot hold water, because we're a sovereign nation. It has to come from National Security Advisor's Office, Inspector General of Police, via the order of the President and Commander-in-Chief. Even the two chambers of the National Assembly. Of recent, the senator that was in charge of security and national intelligence was relieved of his appointment, maybe for reasons best known to them. In totality, I think if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wants to succeed, beyond just withdrawing police officers, guarding VIPs, he needs to, without delay, overhaul the entire security architecture. And when I say that,
how many times is he going to do that?
No, it has not been formally done, because when you are talking about overhauling, it means you, beyond just removing the service chiefs, the chief of defense staffs, there are certain components of the security you also need to touch.
Okay, I'm sure you probably will be doing a brief to Mr. President in the small treatise that you sent to him. Salute Dantata. It's always a pleasure having you on Newsnight.